Hey folks, it's Lauren from Snowy's here with the Westinghouse 2000 watt single induction cooktop.
Hit it.
It's a very simple operation with a nice slimline profile, and it's awesome for flame-free cooking throughout your summer camping months. Hold up fam, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any awesome content on the Snowy's channel. Let's get into it. So your unit is nice and light. It's just over 2 kilos. It measures 37 centimeters long, or deep, I suppose you could say, and about 29 centimeters wide. And it's nice and slim here with a 4 centimeter profile. So excellent for going into drawer systems or pull-out kitchens, for example. The cable as well that we've got is 150 centimeters long, so it's nice and long there if you need to put your stove somewhere that's not immediately close to your power source. Now on the underside of the unit, we've got a couple of vent spaces around the outside edge, or not on this front edge, sorry, these 3 edges, and we've got 4 rubber feet. Now this rubber is nice and soft, so when you're putting your unit down, I'll show you in a minute, it doesn't move around at all. These grip quite well. And our power cord is also fixed or hardwired in, so it's not removable for storage. So putting our little cooktop back down, as you can see, I'm just going to give this a bit of a push and forward. I'm actually putting a fair bit of effort into that, and it's realistically not moving at all. So excellent for sitting in place and not worrying about having to anchor it or stop it from sliding around. So I'm going to plug it into our power source here, and I'll just show you how it operates. So I'm going to turn the unit around just for ease of use so I can show you what to expect here. So we've got a couple of warning notifications which we have on the cooker here. The first one is obviously that despite the fact that it's flame free, it does heat up. So be mindful of that if you finish a cooking session, that it will still be hot. The other important thing to note about this is to not use it on a metal surface. Induction obviously works by creating or generating a magnetic field, which then jostles or, makes all of the atoms inside of this metal bounce and rub and heat up and agitate. So therefore, if it's also on a metal table, you're potentially going to be doing the same thing to that, depending on what it's made out of. But anyway, just don't use it on a metal surface. So we've got a couple of buttons across the front here. We've got our power, or our on and off, I should say. Our power setting, which I'll show you in a minute. We've got temperature, timer, and some up and down buttons. Now, if I do turn it on and I'm not going to set a temperature or a timer straight away, it will turn itself off, which is great for saving power and running a bit more efficiently. I've got a litres worth of water here in this bottle, which I'm going to fill up. Now the pot that I'm using is actually a aluminium pot with a ceramic coating, but the ceramic coating, I think it's a Campfire brand, is induction compatible. So that we shouldn't have any issues running this one here, and we'll give that a bit of a test. So first things first is we're going to turn the cooktop on, and we have our little on symbol there. Now from here we can choose a couple of different settings. So I'm going to choose our temperature setting. Now this means that we can allocate the temperature that we want the cooktop to run at. And this is in degrees Celsius. So I think the lowest setting that we can go is 60, and the highest setting that we can go is 240 degrees. Now I can't just press and hold and it will adjust. I do have to tap every time I want to make an adjustment to the cooker. And the other option we've got here is power. So if you are running this off a 12-volt system, this will tell you exactly essentially the wattage, or we're setting this at the wattage of the unit. Now this particular unit has a 2000 watt consumption on this single burner. So we can go as low as, just put it down here, 200 watts consumption. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set a timer just for curiosity's sake on my watch, and we're going to put this up to the maximum setting. We've got 2000 watts. Now the temperature on this is 240 degrees Celsius. So what we'll see is on, say, the double burner, which has a lower wattage, the maximum is still going to be 240. It's just that this is going to be a little bit more efficient and powerful because it's going to be drawing more power to achieve that same temperature. So the timer's off and running, and we'll see how long it's going to take to boil that litre of water, which is actually bubbling up quite quickly now. So another function that we have along the front here is a timer. So we can press that until we've got a little 0 coming up. And this allows us to choose in minutes how long we want this to be going for. If we need to set and forget, maybe you want to boil water for a cup of tea, or you want to boil some eggs or what have you, you can set a timer, and over here whilst you're setting your minute amount, you'll get this little flash. But if you stop, you can see that red light has stopped flashing. 13 minutes is now locked in, and our timer is going to run on in the background there. And we can see we've got 13 minutes, and that's going to flash and interchange between our temperature and our timer. If we're going to adjust the temperature, that timer will still stay locked in, but if we want to turn the timer off, we just press that button and our timer's erased. So I'm going to pop this back up to that 240 volt, 240 degrees for our boiling water test, which is currently at, we're looking at 2 minutes 10. So the other feature we've got here is a little lock above our LED display, and this essentially means with our 2 fingers, or however you want to do it, you can press and hold both buttons and you'll see LOC come up, which indicates that it's locked. Now, if you have induction at home, you would know this, but potentially if you've not used induction very often, the front panel here is very sensitive. So even if you chuck a tea towel on it, or you knock it with your arm, or you put another pot, or there's something that rests over here that is conductive in some capacity, it can interfere with the buttons and change your settings. This little lock feature can be really handy for that. Again, it will interchange between lock and your temperature setting. It's just a simple matter of pressing both of those buttons until the beep comes, and that lock will be removed, and then you can go back to adjusting and interacting with your buttons there. Now, taking a quick look at this pot, what do we got on the timer? We've got 3 minutes pretty much bang on, and we're starting to get a rolling boil here with the bubbles coming up from the base. Now, whilst it's not actively rolling boil, this would be good enough for a coffee or a cup of tea. I'd be more than happy to be making myself a hot beverage with that. So one thing that this does have built into it is a couple of different error codes, which your instruction manual will cover, but the main one is going to be E0, and that means that either your pot's too small, or you're not using an induction compatible something like pot or cookware on the surface. So if I remove this pot, we're going to get this E0 message, which indicates that your cooktop can't actually function, so power's being cut off to it. If I put that back on, it should kick into place like so. Another thing is, if I'm turning the unit off and I don't have a pot there and I want to turn it on and I want to use it, you'll get the same error message. So there's a couple of little safety features built into that. So I've done a quick couple of calculations here, and this is probably something to note if you're wanting to run your induction cooktop off of a 12-volt system, that being 2000 watts, it will draw a significant amount of amps, especially on its maximum setting. So 2000 watts is equivalent to roughly around 166 amps per hour. Boiling this water here took us 3 minutes. So from a 12-volt system, boiling a litre of water, it's going to work out to around about 8.5 amps to boil a litre of water. So that's just something that you need to be mindful of. If you're running obviously if you're using induction in summer because it's fire ban season and you've got a decent solar setup, you want to boil a litre of water, you're going to be using 8 amps. After about an hour with a good solar setup, you're going to be replenishing that pretty quickly. But it's just something to be mindful of if you're wanting to be using your induction cooker at nighttime or overnight, that you've got enough battery storage that's going to cover your usage requirements until the next day when you can get that replenishment. Now, interestingly enough, being a 2000 watt cooker, as I mentioned earlier in the video, sitting at a maximum temperature of 240 degrees, by comparison, with the double cooker version of this, the maximum wattage that you can get on one of those cooktops is 1400 watts. And that took 6 minutes to boil a litre of water, or 11 amps. So even though this is a much higher capacity unit in terms of wattage, the amount of time it's going to take to boil things or cook things is going to be a lot quicker. And so therefore you will actually get a more efficient unit from this. So that's about it for the Westinghouse 2000 watt single induction cooktop. You can get this at snowies.com.au at our low prices every day.